The battle-worn bridge of the Yulvarian warcruiser Vashtal shuddered violently as another plasma barrage struck its hull. Admiral Sci-Fi, his bioluminescent tendrils flickering with anxiety, parked an order to his crew. Shields at maximum. Redirect power from secondary systems. We must hold the line. The Yulvarians, a proud and ancient race, had never faced such dire straits. The Xathid swarm, a merciless and ever-consuming species, had ambushed them at the edge of the Helios expanse. Their allies had abandoned them. Even the mighty Zorveth Imperium had turned a blind eye to their distress calls. Only one species had answered their desperate plea: the humans. Sci-Fi had not expected much. Humans were a young species, barely a speck in the galactic timeline. Their warriors were said to be fierce, but they were few. Their technology was primitive compared to the great empires. When word came that the humans had dispatched a fleet, Sci-Fi had hoped for dreadnoughts or elite strike forces. Instead, they had sent them. Sci-Fi's tendrils quivered in disbelief as the human fleet dropped out of FTL. The vessels were not the great warships of legend, not the infamous battleships of the Terran Confederation. Instead, the fleet was composed of old medical ships, search and rescue frigates, engineering corvettes, and even a handful of ancient transport vessels. The humans had sent to aid workers, doctors, and engineers. This must be some kind of insult, growled Commander Varan, his claws flexing in frustration. We called for warriors, not medics. Yet, the moment the human fleet arrived, they acted with breathtaking precision. The battered Yulvarian ships, many on the verge of destruction, were suddenly engulfed in human rescue operations. Shovels flitted through the carnage, evacuating wounded Yulvarians and extinguishing fires. Human engineers braved hull breaches and reactor malfunctions, patching ships together with relentless efficiency. Their medical teams worked tirelessly, treating Yulvarian injuries as if their own lives depended on it. And then came the impossible. The Xathid swarm, sensing fresh prey, turned their horrific biomass weapons upon the human fleet. The Yulvarians braced for a slaughter. But the humans did not run. Instead, their ships surged forward, interposing themselves between the swarm and the wounded Yulvarian vessels. They lacked weapons, but that did not stop them. They used their own bodies as shields, their hulls absorbing the brunt of the swarm's onslaught. The medics fought with fire suppression systems and emergency force fields. The engineers weaponized their repair drones, ramming them into swarm attack spores. A single human hospital ship detonated its medical cargo in a calculated explosion, vaporizing an entire Xathid assault pod before it could breach the Yulvarian flagship. The humans fought with everything they had, not with guns, but with defiance, with courage, with sacrifice. Admiral Sci-Fi watched in stunned silence. He had seen countless wars, had witnessed warriors lay down their lives, but never had he seen beings fight like this. Not for conquest, not for glory, but simply because they refused to let another die if they could prevent it. By the time Yulvarian reinforcements arrived, the tide had turned. The swarm, confused by the sheer audacity of their seemingly helpless prey, faltered. The Yulvarians, now repaired, rearmed, and reinforced thanks to the humans, counterattacked with renewed fury. The battle was won. As the Xathid retreated into the abyss, Itrax turned to the human commander, a grizzled old medic named Dr. Helen Carter. Her uniform was torn, her face streaked with soot and sweat, but her eyes burned with the same determination that had turned the tide of battle. You are not warriors," Sci-Fi murmured, struggling to find words. "And yet, you fought harder than any army I have ever seen." Dr. Carter chuckled, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. "We don't fight wars, Admiral. We save lives. And sometimes that means standing between death and those who can't defend themselves." Sci-Fi's bioluminescence pulsed slowly as he processed the revelation. In all his years, he had believed strength lay in firepower, in fleets and weapons. But today he had witnessed a different kind of strength, a strength that did not destroy, a strength that saved. and for the first time in Yulvarian history, an admiral bowed before a healer.